to update on everything. Okay.
Oops.
And I believe that is everything I have for all of you all today. Do you guys have any questions for me? And Deb Robinson's, the public health nurse report, Leanne will be giving today. Deb is very busy with COVID cases in the WIC, so Leanne will be giving that update for Deb.
Yeah.
So the Phillipsburg school just went to online for a few days, right? Didn't totally shut down.
Right, they did.
Yeah.
They did the home online training last week. Yes.
Drummond schools are still up and they have.
Yeah, it was
still-
just the Phillipsburg school. Yes, that was down for a couple days last week for the COVID cases. Yes, they were doing online schooling. Thank you for the clarification, Blair.
Any other questions from the public? Being
Okay.
none, I guess you're done.
Thank you.
Now it's time for tobacco prevention specialist report. Amanda?
She's online. She's just,
So you'll get it.
Can you hear me? Okay. So yes, the Drummond schools are in session, and yesterday I was able to bring a speaker in from Nevada. He talked about e-cigarettes, vapes, and Juuls for about an hour. He did cover a presentation in all 3 counties. I have been able to do a couple of smoke-free housing surveys in your community and connected with a housing manager. She was really sweet, and she did take metal housing to put up in her units. She's rewriting some of her language in her policy to include e-cigarettes. She did that all on her own before I took the position in about February, but she wasn't sure that the language in her policy was good. So she's working with us with some like pre-written policy that we already have just to compare. I've been able to get 30 businesses new signage out there that covers what was passed in 2016, that it includes e-cigarettes out there. The Sunshine Station and the grocery store have updated metal signs that they requested. We've got informational brochures and quit spit kits inside the courthouse downstairs on the same rack as your MSU display. And mostly I just work from your guys' library, and I've spent a couple of Thursdays in Drummond with Jackie. Worked a little bit on ATV with her. That was kind of fun. But yeah, I'm there on Thursdays in your library, and I think I spent one day over here because your schools were closed, and that's my report.
Okay, any questions from the public?
This is Blaine. The ATV was a grant, right? The DES got.
No, well, okay.
Okay, all right. Shut it down.
Okay, seeing no questions, the next one up is public health nurse report.
You want to do it?
yes, you
I
do.
feel like a movie star.
I'll hold for it.
And I even feel more. Okay, so I'll just give a public health update. So,
You want to state your name?
oh, I'm sorry, this is Leanne Holmes, Public Health Director. All right, so we started seeing new clients for WIC in Drummond, and we have one scheduled for Phillipsburg. The ATV thing was injury prevention activity for our FICMR, which is Fetal Infant Child Maternal Mortality Review program, which is within the Maternal Child Health Block Grant. So we get about $2,000 a year for that. And Jackie can report on how many helmets and goggles we gave out, but that was that. So it was a really exciting one. It was at Georgetown, and they had a trailer pulled up there, a local guy from Drummond, and they gave helmets and goggles to kids and adults and all alike. So, and they were really nice helmets. And then we were able to pay for those. In an attempt to reduce ATV accident, or not accidents, but injury and death. We have no deaths to review for 2020. This is the time of year that we would review them. But we have no infant, child, maternal deaths in 2020 to review. Area 5, we had, I think we talked before that we were recruiting for another staff for Area 5, and we have been very unsuccessful. So I would like to discuss with somebody about increasing that rate of pay, that the pay is just too low to compete with everything now. So I'm not sure what that process is, but if someone can help me with that, that'd be great. At the current time, we have 2 part-time staff and we serve 15 to 20 people that we go to their homes and provide homemaker services and companion services. It's an important, really important program. And then as far as Jen talked about the FEP cases, or the FEP program and the cases, I would just like to stress that we are in a really tough place right now here in Granite County with these cases. This is a really 40-some% positivity is really, really, really high. And I would encourage the Board of Health to do something about the schools and the masking and that, but it is, I don't know, unfortunately, we had to go from having nothing in place in the schools to closing them, where we could look at some different measures in between. Like, I do think now we have seating charts in the schools, which helps because then you can identify the contacts and you don't have to quarantine the entire class. But we really need to work on that. And then in addition to that, I need some extra staff to do contact tracing. So Deb took 9 cases over the weekend, which at the rate that we agreed, to pay her, that's pretty high as far as if we end up paying her overtime and reimbursing her. It would be better to pay a contract staff like $15 an hour with no benefits or anything, just to do contact tracing. That's what we've done in the past and it's been effective. So I'd like to hire a couple of people to do that just through a contract. And then we have a new contract for the immunization program. And it's a pretty good chunk of money that I'm going to be talking about after the Board of Health meeting, but it is used to, the intent is to push the vaccine out, the boosters, and we're also going to be rolling out a plan to vaccinate kids, the 5 to 11-year-olds. And we already have our pre-orders and everything else to get that vaccine ordered. I'd like to purchase a new refrigerator for the vaccines in the Drummond office, just because we're bringing more and more vaccine here. So let's see, the only other things are we have started outreach in the communities up here for parents as teachers home visiting and asthma home visiting. And we'll see how that goes. We can report on that next quarter.
One thing on the Area 5,
Yeah.
you might want to look at the job description and update it if you wanted to give them a raise. I don't think it's been updated since it was original, and that would be in the administrative assistant's office, the job
Okay.
description for that.
Okay.
And then you would just, as supervisor, rewrite it and then bring it to the commission
Okay.
to bump
To
it up.
bump them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Are they still getting, when they use their, are they getting mileage and stuff yet?
Yes, yes, but we did kind of curtail that so they don't, they can't transport any patients.
Yeah.
We talked about that, remember, and then, but they do get mileage if they go outside of their home community.
I'm trying to think on the contact tracing. I think the commission, I believe, approved that to be done
Okay.
already, but
I
maybe
thought we
refresh
did
my-
once before
Okay.
when we had Larry,
We do have
Okay.
somebody,
Gail's sister.
okay,
And then Gene Wallace. I thought that kind of left it up to them that if they needed people, they'd get them.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the way I remember.
Okay,
I
is
think
it
that's
through a contract? Just or just they invoice us? That's
Yeah,
what we,
I think it was just.
that's what
in-
we do in Greenland.
They were just
Yeah.
gonna turn in their hours and that we were gonna pay them for helping.
Okay, all right, so that, as
My
long as
wife
that's
was-
okay.
Oh, I don't know when you did that.
That's where I recall.
That's
Yeah.
what it was, just
Okay.
cause they were having so hard time finding anybody, so we thought we would just leave it kind of for you guys and like Jackie. If she knew somebody come along and wanted to help, then we'd compensate them. for
Okay.
helping.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. I just know we really don't wanna pay Deb time and a half to do it.
No.
I promise you, we don't.
No. I guess that, yeah, but I'm definitely positive on that.
Yeah,
Okay, oh,
I,
perfect,
yeah, I
okay,
concur with that. Unless the other board members have an issue with that, I'd say continue.
And we have
I should've
plenty.
asked you guys.
Okay, any comments on Zoom?
plenty of money.
Seeing none, now it's time for, you done?
I could talk all day.
Now
but
it's time
I
for
won't
Dr.
shut up.
Khan. Is she on?
Not sure which one she is on. She hasn't raised her
Can ask her to raise her hand.
hand. Or what, is her phone number ending in 923?
What's
Dr.
that?
Khan, is your phone
That
number
must be her.
ending in, what was it?
923.
Nine
She
two
just have to
three?
Raise her hand
I
because she
unmuted
needed.
her anyway.
I don't think she's on.
I don't think, because she's been going on Zoom where she's
Yeah.
facing you, so I think she must have patience today.
Okay, now, I guess we'll skip that and go back to Director of Public Health.
Oh, that's me. I just already did it.
Oh.
I guess on that, just my comment is I appreciate what you guys are doing and what's going on down there, and I've been hearing about a lot of feedback on what are, like Jackie and some of them are doing, but they're getting so much crap back for,
Mhm.
you know, it all comes down, if you're sick, keep the kids home. You know, I mean, we're not trying to mandate, we're not trying to govern, but it's all about being healthy. And I mean, the stories I got told here yesterday and a couple days ago, it's bullshit to treat people like that are trying to help. That's my opinion.
What are they doing?
Oh, just the feedback. It's terrible.
People are just really nasty. When we tell them they need to quarantine or isolate,
Not all of them.
not
all of them.
everybody.
I mean,
We have
just-
some really great families, but I had sent our mental health coordinator up to help Jackie last week with some. And she was kind of surprised, which is good for her, because she said, I don't know any of these people, so they can yell at me all they want, but you know, it's hard for people like Jackie that are just doing.
I think they're doing an awesome job. They're just
Yeah.
trying to do what we ask them to do, or
Right.
what the board asks them, and they, you know, but they're getting all the feedback. It's-
Right, so if I had to say something from the public health director standpoint is people really need to get vaccinated and stay home when you're sick. And we should encourage masking. I think we're gonna get over the hump, but it's gonna take a while if people don't, follow the recommendations.
Gail Leaper has a comment.
Gail?
Hi, thanks, commissioners. Hey, I just am wondering, looking throughout Montana, most counties are not doing contact tracing. And so I'm just wondering if that is, a consideration with it that Granite County wouldn't do contact tracing. Do we have enough money to continue doing that? And is it feasible to keep doing that? Thank you.
Gail, we have plenty of money. We are contracted with, this is Leanne, we contracted for Jen to be is it 10 hours a week? And so the rest of that public health emergency budget we have for supplies and things like this contact tracing. So the money isn't an issue, and my response to other counties that are not doing contact tracing of any sort is they are the ones that have really, really high cases, and cases are out of control. So I think we absolutely need to do contact tracing. It's the only way to contain.
You guys are the professionals.
So I
Alright.
guess with that, and I do think it's a good thing for those people that are lonely, you know, live alone and all of that. I guess you guys can only do what with the information that you were given. So I'll just use myself as an example. Being up at the school subbing, I did however many rounds of subbing for teachers that were positive, whatnot. Not one time was I ever put on a contact tracing list when I was with those students, with those teachers. I want you to just think about it, you know, where that's at. That's all I'm saying.
So is my understanding that the contact is for positive cases that test positive?
Yeah, so
So
you have a positive case, and they identify through us helping them, talking through where have you been, what you've done, who you've been with, how far apart were you, all of that. So it's the positive case, it's the contacts of the positive case that is the contact tracing piece, not the contacts of contacts.
right.
So I'm hearing things from the other side of it, from Phillipsburg, saying that just kind of the blanket lists are being done, and I don't know if that was the school or not, so there is that is some of the criticism that people are given. I'm
Right.
not saying I'm criticizing, I'm just saying I'm hearing that.
Okay, so in the absence of seating charts and masks, we have to quarantine essentially for most of the classrooms, depending on the size of the classroom. You do almost have to quarantine the entire classroom.
So I agree with you, spread them out, seating charts.
Right,
and
spread them out. If
recommend
you
masks.
spread them out, we know where they're seated and they have masks on. Jen had a boy at the school in Anaconda yesterday at the high school that had two contacts, three total contacts during the day, changing classes 8 times. But because of the way they're spaced out and seated and required to wear masks, and if they wear surgical masks and both are wearing surgical masks, you don't have to quarantine at all. There's no exposure. So it really is a containment. And I know masking is a huge controversy, but it has really helped the numbers of positive cases and quarantine students in different counties.
I'm willing to go to the superintendents and tell them just that if you'd like me to. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, please.
because yeah, I think that was the big thing last year with sports and everything, that everyone was wearing a mask, they weren't gonna get contact traced out.
And not forever. That's the thing. I know we keep saying that, but it's not forever. It's just till we get this under, we could review it quarterly. Or monthly, but it's a containment issue at this point.
So Blaine, I'll give you what my requirements are in the Anaconda school, so you can see what we do for the 3 feet, who's wearing
Yeah.
masks
Like
and all
the
that.
guidelines.
The guidelines,
Yeah.
I'll send that to you
I'll
today.
forward it on to them and say this is
Perfect.
what they're doing in Anaconda.
Perfect,
All
thank you,
right,
Blaine.
Yeah,
And
Okay,
right now, out of 1,000 students, we have 8 positive cases is all at the school in Deer Lodge County.
Yeah.
Out of 3 schools.
are they doing the social distancing in class? And
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other comments on Zoom? I guess we're done.
Wow.
Anything else here?
Well, thank you.
Thank you
thanks.
all. Thank you all.
Thanks.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye, guys.
Bye. I mean, don't take my
Thanks for
stuff.
coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit right
Okay, because am I next on the agenda? See ya.
Okay. Yeah, all right. All right, thanks.
You're on there for that pass.
Football team's going to playoffs. We had one that's staying out of quarantine, but
No, I don't. It's all good.
Okay, we're gonna move on to task order amendment number 1 with Montana DPHHS task order for COVID immunization services. Is that you?
Yep, it's me. Okay, so we just received this last week. If you recall, we got one earlier in the,
You might want to get a mic, because I don't know if they can
is anybody saying that?
well, maybe you can ask on there.
Okay, all right. All right, so this is a task order that we received. So this is part of the contract for the immunization services, which they spelled incorrectly. Interesting. So this is to continue pushing out the COVID, for the COVID response, to push out the vaccine. And identify additional programs and partners within local jurisdictions and develop partnerships. So this would be similar to what we've done at the ranch at Rock Creek, with the schools, with the jail, those kind of things to provide the COVID-19 vaccine. So we're all working together to try to get the immunization rate up, or vaccine rate up for COVID-19. So obviously we work with the hospital. That's the only long-term care facility. For us to maintain availability of the vaccine in all the different areas, to have the pop-up vaccine things, it's really just to ramp everything up. And the state received a large amount of money from the federal government to push the COVID vaccine. And then it was divvied out according to population. So for Granite County, the funding amount is $31,966. So as soon as this is signed and sent in,
You need a motion on this one to get it, or is that what?
yeah, you guys just need to sign it and approve.
Need a
it.
motion to sign.
I'll make the motion, go ahead and sign the task order.
I second it.
Any comments on the motion?
I should say I reviewed it, looks acceptable to me, as long as all those duties are good with you.
Yeah, I would just ask, I don't know if this is included in the motion or what, but that public health be allowed to use these funds to do what it's designated to do.
That's already in the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Contract, so as long as they're.
I think that's a given.
Okay.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Good job down there. They're all over.
Do what?
There
Do you
you
need to
be.
record it? Do you want to record it and scan it to me, or do you want me to? Huh? I'll just leave it scanned to me, and then I'll send it to you.
Copy would share.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
You all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a
Thank you.
good day.
You too. And it might not sound like it, but we're having fun doing all this stuff. Not every
Sounds
day.
like you yelled at.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, now it's time for Road and Bridge Superintendent Paul Alt, weekly report. You gonna call in or?
He said he was calling in, he had to meet that Caterpillar guy or something, then he said he was calling in, so.
Did you want to discuss the road maintenance plan? While we're waiting for him to call?
Are you still on?
Yeah, we're.
So the thought was just kind of have a generic contract we could use for folks wanna, plow a little snow or fill a pothole. I know you don't want people just, seems like there's people out there just doing things without authorization. But the thought is get them on the agenda and have them come in and kind of have a fill in the blank form. This is just a rough draft, so but I think wanted to make sure they have insurance and that they know what they're doing.
That's what this is.
Yeah. So it's supposed to cover potential some doing, doing a little great. I know, like Lee Scow said he was doing, probably, doing a real good job, and some of the other people out there, they don't, I don't know what they're.
No, it's good. It's a good idea.
And what this is it gives, if we give permission for them.
Yeah, and permission is, permission's
Permission
required.
is
People
required,
shouldn't just,
yeah.
it's potentially could be even a misdemeanor if people are out. We've had, I've had it before where roads have been destroyed, haven't they? Or not destroyed, but damaged.
So you think this could cover for our snow plowing? Got pretty much everything in it.
That was my thought, one size fits all and get it for anything that they're doing, any type, obviously, if they're in a fully encroachment, they should do an encroachment permit. If they're gonna do a utility line or a driveway, that should be encroachment permit.
Granite County Commissioner's Office,
Hello, this is Paul. How are you guys today?
good.
Good. So what do you got?
Oh, we got the travelers is done. We're working on the middle fork right now. And the cattle guard is fixed down there on the middle fork. And we are working out there on the poison patch.
Okay. We're doing our Middle Fork Bladen then?
Bladen, yeah.
Yeah.
Had to come down, get some batteries for the water truck, it won't start. Just typical stuff this time of year,
Yeah.
Um,
Hey,
other than that,
one thing, did you remember to get some rolls of snow fence and to put on the snow, at the bottom of the snow fence on the East Fork Road? Remember, like we did?
I haven't picked them up yet, but I think as soon as we're done with the poison patch, then we'll get them and go put another stretch of that on there for sure.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else?
No, that's about it. I got is Blaine there today?
Yeah, I'm here. How's it going, Paul?
Good. So what about this Rick Lacey Road? Is that gonna be, he told me that you were looking in to see if that was actually a county road or not.
Yeah, I'll do that. I believe that is to a certain point there. I know that one of the neighbors there thinks it's his road, but I don't, yeah, I'll do that today, let you know. Cause there was
I guess I'm gonna meet with Rick probably either tomorrow afternoon or Thursday or Friday or whenever he wants to meet.
okay,
And take a gander at it.
all right, thanks. No, I think we talked about it in the past as far as snow plowing. Had you been doing snow plowing right there? I'm trying to think. On grass.
Well, we decided, we've never snow plowed, we've never done anything on that road since I've been here.
Okay, all right. Let me double check that it's a county road.
Okay.
Okay, what about these fence posts that split on Rumsey Road?
You know, the only place I know of any, they all buy, as far as I know, all their fence posts from Beaumont because they're the only ones that have a treating plant anywhere around that I know of. And I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, you can see splitting fence posts about anywhere. I mean.
Yeah, looks to me like these were kind of green. They weren't cured enough, and then they with a hot summer, and it just, I had some posted at once.
Well, you can see they're pounding in there pretty hard. Look at the tops of them. I mean, not pounding it through sand. I don't know what she keeps expecting. Every time we turn around, it's something else, something else. I thought we were done with all this.
Just not.
Well, I know that, I talked to Morgan about it and they're, as far as they're concerned, they built a fence and they're not coming back. If they went back for every time there was a split fence, he said they wouldn't even be in business.
So how many
A split.
posts are split?
I say
Oh, there's a few, you know.
All I counted was 3. I mean, it's just that they're pounding in that ground so hard. You know, what are you gonna do?
I think the
No, I'm
default,
sure that
the default law would be industry standard, I think would be, and so if that kind of split is industry standard, I wouldn't know what the industry standard is, but.
Well, eventually, pretty much all of them split, but this looks a little bit extreme to me. But anyway, what I would do if it was me and mine, I'd get some preservative and fill in, just like paying in the.
Keep it from rotting.
That's what I would do.
So would that be something that the road crew would do then?
Yeah, you could do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we don't wanna hire nobody. If
Right.
somebody, Paul has a guy who's in the.
I mean, if that's gonna help it, keep it from splitting anymore,
Well, I don't think they'll split more.
you don't think
I
so?
think they're done splitting. Betty, you want
I think when they, they were, I'm sure they were green, they got treated, then that sun pounded on them,
to, right?
that's what I would say.
Betty?
Okay, hey, thank you, guys. I'm sorry, this is the gift that keeps on giving. But I tried to contact Wortman and they didn't call me back. And because you guys had, the county was the ones who had the contract with Wortman, and it was significantly higher than other more local contractors. It's just the standard of the posts that is a concern to me. I mean, I know that fence posts are gonna split, but with, you drive down that, so much traffic goes down that, it's easy to see, and about half of them have splits. But I'd really appreciate it. I had a call into Paul and hoped to talk to him before too, and maybe we can touch base with this. I'll be up next week, actually this week, later on. I'd appreciate that preservative. I think it helps. I mean, the big concern, Blanche, is that they put the fence in June, and by July and August, by September, you had a significant number of them have split, water and rain and whatever else. If the treatment doesn't go all the way through, you're going to have rotting on that, then you're going to have problems. That sounds fine. I appreciate your help with that. And Paul, we'll just stay in touch. We were playing telephone tag a little bit, so maybe we can touch base on it next week.
That sounds fine.
So can we get some preservative, Paul, and do that?
Yeah, we can do that. It'll be a couple weeks.
No, we don't want to wait too long, let them get all soaked up with rain or anything, but yeah.
Right.
Thanks very much for your,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Betty,
Betty.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your help on this. I appreciate it.
Thanks. What else? Do we need a motion or anything to accept this or have this as an official?
Did you look at that, thing that we had on the road maintenance agreement, Paul?
It's one I sent you before, I believe, Paul. A little model contract for snow plowing or people working on county roads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The thought was they,
And
go ahead.
yeah, it looks good to me. I talked to Ross. We just had the two people, one up on Douglas Creek and the other one's at Black Pine. And I talked with Ross yesterday and told him we'll be getting him some papers that he'll have to sign. And we'll go from there, long before we get any weather.
Yeah, I just say each one gets on the agenda and then be easy to, look at. And you could get it on the agenda for them if needed.
I just assume
They get it, okay.
if they're gonna talk to him, we need to know
Okay.
what's.
All right, yeah.
Also, Paul, cause, otherwise they're gonna work us and.
Have them call Billy. and
Well,
then-
there's nothing to work, because it's gonna be it's just gonna be a binding deal, as soon as they sign it. And the commissioners sign it, I mean, that's just the way it is. Because there is no negotiation on this, that's what it's gonna be.
I'm just saying, no, you need to be here so we know for sure what, before we get the paper, that you explain to us.
The issue I see is naming the counties an additional insured, they may have, it's gonna take probably a lot of insurance companies will work with people on that, but I'm gonna have to put forth the effort to get that done.
That's all I'm saying, is just make sure we know what's going on.
Right.
The one I was thinking about is the
Yeah.
guy up Red Lion, I mean, he was told if he's gonna be doing things, get encroachment permits or other things, a contract.
I guess they're gonna be doing some test hole drilling up, speaking of the red line, up at the Jubilee here until in December. But I talked to him yesterday and he knows the road gets closed the 15th of December now. They will be out of there by then.
Who's doing the drilling, the mine owners?
The people that own the mine.
Okay.
Betty's got her hand raised.
Betty?
Just a question on that policy of people doing their own maintenance on the county roads. Should will there be a liability issue if they get hurt, even on their own equipment, doing something like that? Should there be some indemnification of the county before for anyone that does that, or is that a part of the agreement? I haven't looked at the agreement.
Yeah, there is an indemnification clause as well as an insurance clause that requires them to have liability insurance and name the county as additional insured, but there is an indemnification clause in there.
And will that be adequate? People get, there's an accident law you're on a television about every 5 seconds, so.
Yeah, to me, the issue is it's gotta be people that know what they're doing. So if the people are not trained to do it, then the commission should say no to it, to whoever's requesting, unless they're gonna have a professional do it. That's my thought.
Thank you.
And then another thing is, we're just talking about plowing snow.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what they're actually doing. If they're running a grader, then it should be professional, but if it's filling a pothole, maybe not.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing than what we're letting them do.
What do you guys think?
I like it.
It does say it'll be performed by someone trained, I believe. I mean, if it's, adequately trained.
I'll make a motion to go ahead with the road maintenance agreement.
I'll second it. Sorry, my computer went dead.
Any other comment? All in favor, say aye.
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 This could probably be put on the website, but.
Thanks, Paul.
Doesn't need to be.
Okay, thank you, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks. Now's the time for Betty Munoz on the fencing concerns. I guess we talked about that, so. So we can go off until 10:15. Okay, now is the time for Georgetown Lake outflow review and decision, and
It dropped another inch.
dropped to the lower inch.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody complained if we wanted to go to 6. Billy sent email to all the other parties concerned. I don't think anybody, I don't see anything. Brad? Brad, are you on?
Yes, sorry, I couldn't get unmuted there for a second. Yep, I'm on. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Good.
So what do you think?
Yeah, we saw your request. Yeah, I think 6 CFS sounds good. Yeah, that's the latest estimate of inflows that I got from Dave was 6 CFS. So
Yeah, didn't he say 6 to 8, but we're gonna go to 6 just so we can kind of start gathering it up.
yeah, I think I think I'm good with that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, Betty?
Just a question, Billy, I didn't get an email about this. Which concerned parties did you send things to?
Billy's not here today, Betty.
Oh.
I'm filling in for Billy, so I don't know.
I think she is sending it out to like Fish Wildlife Park and US Fish.
The Forest Service and,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
Okay.
we had meeting last week and we talked about it. We wanted everybody to see if we could get comments on it from the ranchers and the, you know, the entities that are involved.
Did you have any other comments from ranchers?
Nope, not one.
I haven't heard, I didn't receive anything about this and I was away from email or away from ability to join the meeting. Could I request to be put on that list?
Yeah, well, I think that what it wasn't really, because we don't know, we didn't send everything to each rancher, we just put it on the website that we was gonna go back to 6. And that week before, that's why we went another week, I asked a few of them down lower and everybody was pretty much done.
I'm sorry, you asked whom?
Just a few of the ranchers down below.
Uh-huh. Okay,
I mean, we don't
Well-
go to on each door. It's, I mean, it's up to you guys if you want, you know, if you don't like what we're doing, get a hold of us. You know,
yeah, I would just request that when they send something like that out, would it be possible just to add me to the list?
yeah, we'll have to talk to Billy. I think it was on the website. I don't know. I guess, yeah. Billy gets back and sure that you get a message.
Okay, any other comments?
One more, please.
Okay.
was there any reason to go to 6 rather than 8? Cause inflows are coming from Dave Almond and Brad Learman was just on there and you talk to him, that's what's coming in, so we wanna try catching up.
Yeah, they think 6 to 8 is coming in. We're not totally sure, but we want to make sure we start gaining.
We're starting to look into the, you know, for next year already.
Yeah, okay,
Elena has her hand raised.
thank you.
Elena?
Could you clarify what meeting you're talking about? That the ranches and everybody is supposed to be invited to? I don't understand which meeting you're talking about.
It was a letter.
It was just an email sent out.
So then how do people know to attend this meeting if it's on, just goes out to certain people?
There was no meeting. The meeting was last week.
I just talked about the meeting in the commissioner's
The
office.
commissioner's office.
At the commissioner's office, there was a meeting.
We talked about the outflows. Every week we talk about them. That's what I'm saying.
Right, yeah, and usually you should put something up from Dave Ammon, what the weekly report is, and now I understand
No,
somebody
no,
else's.
no. We haven't got, we're just going off
somebody-
what Brad Learman said.
I'm sorry, you interrupted me. I didn't understand a word you said.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, if you stop interrupting me, maybe you'll understand what I'm saying. I mean, you have the homeowners association that gets together, and then you have the ranchers. So are they getting together, discussing this, or not at a meeting together, or just at the commissioners on the agenda?
Is that your comment? Blaine?
One thing the FERC order says, it says the lesser of 10 or inflows, so I think you're doing, 6 to allow it to get built back up. But what's the elevation of the lake right now?
60.
And just so you guys know,
Now you're butting in.
What's that?
6427.21.
Or 21.
What's that, Brad?
oh, I was gonna say, just so you guys know, I did get an email from Dave this morning. He, outflows have been 10 CFS and it really hasn't been dropping much. So we're kind of assuming, I think he's assuming it's probably a little more like 10 CFS for inflows, but I don't know that he actually ran the calculation from looking at his email, and I'm kind of with you. I think it's fine. I think it's fine to go to 6 and try to build a little bit of lake level, particularly until we get ice. So we might be at 6, we might be a little below inflows, but I mean, I'm good with that if that's what you guys feel like doing. So.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'm really worried about next year, so.
Yeah, right.
Is there,
Make a motion that we go to 6.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do you want to call? Do you have his number? All right, I got it.
Hey, Paul, this is Scott Adler, Grant County Commissioners. Hey, we're gonna drop it back to 6. Yeah. Okay? Soon as you can. All right, thanks, bye-bye. You'll get it later, as soon as you
Okay.
can.
That's done. So we're off till 10:30. Okay, we're back on. It's time for Don Hopman to discuss Tri-County Fair Board to provide a 4-H and Fair Board update.
Well, actually, there's been Hotman in East Park. East Park apologized. He got the corona shot. Now he's down and out. But I can read his. But anyway, I guess I'm just coming to see. I don't even know how you want to start this. That I'm kind of been disappointed in the direction the Fair Board has been going. And I've done my best to hold them accountable and do my best as an appointed trustee of Granite County. And I know one time we asked you guys for help, and it seemed like you guys kind of hit a wall too. So it's been pretty frustrating on that. And so I guess I'm asking for the county that we need some help on the accountability part of their financial part, especially. There's just things going on, and I kind of standing up for my county, then kind of got stalwarted, now all of a sudden. So they said, even down to, I guess some of my things that were concerning to me was I walk in and there's a board member and they're just pushing for this board member to get to be on the checkbook. And I'm just like, well, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, here's some new person here, maybe a Granite County person should be on the checkbook. Well, the secretary treasurer needed someone to sign checks, and she needed a second signature, so there's checks I feel are getting written and we don't even know about. These bylaws were not passed by a third reading. And I asked for the bylaws, because I wanted to actually stay on and get this passed and make sure that I felt like that. It was, because I've been on there long enough, and they refused to give me the bylaws.
Well, they can't.
Well, she said that she was in there and it was already passed by a third reading, and Ben and I then looked and said that it was only said 2 readings and signed.
It's just the clerk still taking over meetings.
Yeah.
So it's.
And I know it's just kind of one, I think, bad egg, but boy, she's sure. There's just some questions I have on that as a taxpayer and contributing to this,
Well, that's the thing, we never hear much, until, like last year when I called over there and tried to listen in on the meeting. Katie had it there, and it was just so mixed up, we couldn't. It was terrible.
Yeah, it's hard to follow.
It was terrible. I finally, I guess I got off because I wasn't doing no good.
Yeah.
And I think the
Pretty rude. And
the financial thing is odd, where for some reason, I don't know why they can't just provide a printout of the budget, and that should be,
Well,
the clerk and recorder should be able to do that. So
yeah, it's public.
I don't know why.
If
If you ask for it, they should be able to provide that pretty easily. actions and stuff are made, so.
Yeah, it's a government board, they need to run it like one, and that's what we were pushing for on the bylaws to get those corrected. We had some just like changes to it, and then I haven't heard back on.
Well, one of
those
them was
changes.
to make sure that we're more involved when they're doing this voting. And not just all of a sudden they were beating us down 5 to what, 2 of us or 1 of us or
Well,
something.
now it's 3 to 10.
Yeah, I mean, it
You
wasn't,
know.
it's not. fair
Well,
for-
maybe 3 and 1 and 9, because now all of a sudden, so kind of the whole shebang was the big blow up when they decided to, instead of the fair board, they would have fairgrounds and a fair board. And so then, of course, I'm like, okay, well, let's get an asset of what's fair board and what's fairgrounds and stuff. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And I'm just like, you can't do that. I'm not gonna be have you write checks and us not knowing what we're going, because we are contributors to fair board. And so, and I mean, and I mean, God love Katie, Burton, she's got a little bit. So I guess maybe I've been spoiled with the hall being a trustee of the hall school for so long, because I get to see every check, and I have the numbers, and if you kept everyone, which, you could see if there was a check missing and what it was for. And as a chairman, I get to sign every check, and it's not, so I guess I truly in my heart feel like I know how, a very compliant board is supposed to be. And so, I mean, we don't know. I mean, they have claims of wages, but if there's checks being wrote outside, which they slipped up and told me, I mean, I don't know every check number. And I guess it's just been frustrating as a taxpayer, and then trying to, for this county. And then they had, so I'm like, well, we need an assets on that. Well, all of a sudden they're fixing this tractor, which I feel should be fair board. I agree with that. But is it like, so Katie's like, well, is this fair board or fairgrounds? Oh, it's all the same checkbook. It's like, no, it's not. We're not contributing to fairgrounds.
They said everything would be separate, that was what. the problem
So we don't
was.
have assets, what's fairgrounds, because if it's fairgrounds, then fair board needs to lease fairgrounds, but I feel like every asset up to the time of the split then should be fair board, and fairgrounds then should have to lease, or, I mean, it just needs to be, to me, to be cleaned up, and I've tried, and then of course, I think I've ran my term where I fought long enough in the wrong people that I'm just not contributing now positively to it. I know E thinks different, but I personally think that, it needs to be like, my dream team is actually like Levi Parsons, Parker Bignall, and E Park, and go in there, but I guess I'm just concerned. I mean, I'm definitely has been just beyond awesome as an extension agent and support of it,
What do you need from us then? Or what do you-
just, I guess my concern is, and so like I even have texts that they want, like, number one, those bylaws, I've never seen them.
Yeah, me either.
And hold them accountable to be a board that you guys want, that Granite County wants to be contributed to and be part of.
So is Anaconda out now? Anaconda
Yes.
Village? So it's not really Tri-County anymore?
Well, we just voted to keep it,
The name,
the name.
they're, I think Anaconda Deer Lodge County's giving money to the 4-H,
Okay.
and then they're doing it that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that they're ever gonna
Is
potentially
this,
change, so I think. Are they ever
So,
gonna
well, what
change?
it is they are leaving it up to the council in Deer Lodge to do the, whatever they
the
owe.
town council,
No,
The
4-H.
4-H council?
Yes, so because, and it was over, even part of it was over the Derby and the responsibility, and the
Mm.
lawsuits on that. And there was some other things going on that. I guess for me is, I just fought really hard to get this board to where we financially, Granite County was more part of it, and I'm comfortable with how financially it's going, and then I'm seeing a lot of deceit on there, and
So has this changed recently, or
It's
has this been going on?
always been a little shady.
It's been-
It
Well,
got
Dan
worse.
Lucas was
last-
actually stopped in the office yesterday, and it's been, fairly
Shady.
dysfunctional for
Yeah.
a long
Quite a
time.
while.
Well, we can send them a letter and get the bylaws.
I don't understand why they wouldn't have sent official
We're probably-
finalized copies of the bylaws,
But they didn't even do it. for
budget
reading.
or anything really, so that should all be available to Granite County for sure.
Mhm.
One thing I had talked to them about is Anaconda Deer Lodge has, you know, they're still getting the benefit, but don't have any of the liability. And the thought was potentially that they should have to pay a little more into it or whatever, but I didn't get any real response on that either.
Well, it's just some of it is even like I've had to sick blame on them a couple times. It's like they just, I don't know, it's like they're running, you know, I guess I just would like you, I mean, I'm encouraging you guys to clean it up for us as taxpayers, because they were, you know, I mean, one of the trustees wanted to be secretary and was gonna get paid, and I said, you can't do that. Well, my commissioner said I can't. I said, you can't do that. Yeah, everyone knows, he's like, well, it's not a school board. It doesn't matter, you know,
Yeah,
so.
it's an AG opinion. Can't do it.
But anyway, so I, you know, sick blame on them for that. And then, of course, then it was on, because they've messed this board up and Anaconda pulled out. Well, now all of a sudden they're bringing board members that aren't even county, that don't even hold, you know, aren't even residents of the county. You know, which, you know, so, and of course, Blaine found the thing, but it's kind of like, what's, you know, I mean, is it worth the war?
I gave a legal opinion, you couldn't do that, but Powell County Attorney said they could. So there's ongoing issues there.
You know,
Yes,
it's just.
yes. Well, start out sending a letter and get the bylaws, see what they've done and see why they, you know, and then look and see what their budget is. I mean, that's all public.
Yeah, I can request the county attorney, like, both.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I guess I'm stepping down from the board, and so, of course, I'm, you know, extremely pro 4-H, definitely, but I'm just saying my concerns financially and stuff, and like I say, I've yet to get it, and then she said she sent it, and I went through my emails, but she never sent it to me, you know, so, I mean, you know, and definitely do not, if they, because they sent texts out that, you know, we're gonna increase, we're gonna make them pay more on and on to help us, and I am definitely go on the books to say do not ever do the pay increase, you know, especially without a financial budget. I mean, we don't even know where it's going. And they're like, oh, it's about $100 per kid. And then she kind of shows this sheet, but it's a very inadequate sheet to show where it's all going.
Don't you guys get audited too?
It's,
Yeah.
too much good old boy girl system, and they've
Yeah.
got around like government. Which
So-
it is.
Okay, let's send a letter then, draft one up.
Okay. Or you just want to come from me, or do you want me to draft one for the commission?
I think it should be from the
Commission,
commissioners,
Right.
you know, definitely on
All right.
that.
Maybe we have to push a little harder and we'll come in.
Yeah, all right, I'll draft it, the agenda item next week, for doing
And even just like a list of assets, like what's fairboard, what's fairgrounds, when was it purchased? You know, was there even a fairgrounds, you know, I know it would be nice to like really clean it up and make it something like, you know, I feel proud of.
Well, there should be some kind of annual report.
That's, yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to.
No, there should
Gotta
be.
be something that just kind of makes it like it's.
Yeah, so.
Well,
it-
thanks for being on the fair board.
Yeah, you guys, and-
Resigned, but,
And I am, thank you guys for appointing me too, so honestly, it was.
You
definitely-
got somebody that's gonna replace you?
Well, that's what I honestly, I tried, for Levi said no, Parker said not yet, he doesn't want to be burned out, especially in this kind of a thing. Like I said, my dream team would be Parker, Levi, and then Eve, because Eve is just so wise there, and he's just, you know, he's really, so I tried really hard to think of somebody that's going to have a personality to be able to help you guys clean it up.
did your term end? Is it?
Yeah,
It's ended,
I did
okay.
bring, I did send a letter and I wanted to kind of yak with you guys, but anyway, so I thank you guys and I sure hope I represented Granite County and Ben Hopman in the council. Well.
Well, thanks for doing it.
So, anyway, I feel like you should almost like have a seat for me here. I'm always here.
Any public comment on Zoom? Okay, I guess we're done.
Yay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
anything else? Ben?
We'll see what we can do and push on it.
Let me know if you have any other questions or when you're drafting the letter or whatever.
Yeah.
And should it be directed to the Powell County Commission then, you think? Or-
I think
Yeah,
so.
That's where it should start, because it ultimately, I mean,
they gotta. Okay.
thanks you
Sounds good.
guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott Adler.
Have a good day.
Thanks,
See
Dan.
ya. See you, Dawn.
Thanks.
Okay, now we're for county board reappointments.
There's your list.
Go through them one by one.
That whole deal over there is people that have been on there too long and should not be involved in it, but they just keep deferring everything to one person. That's not right. You have a board, it should be a clerk that takes things over.
So one by one, Scott.
Yeah, that's fine.
First one, Sue for the tax appeal.
Wow.
Sue.
I'll make a motion to accept their application.
All those in favor
I
say aye.
second it.
Aye.
You already did? Okay, aye.
Sam Dennis for Flint Creek FSA.
Make a motion to accept it.
I second it.
He's been on there, done a good job.
That's good, job.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next one, Tom Rue, tax appeal.
Make a motion to accept it.
Second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
David Lee, airport board.
Make a motion to accept it.
I second it.
Aye.
Aye.
Dan Lucas for Granite County tax appeal.
I make a motion to accept.
I second it.
Aye.
You got good people in there.
Yeah, good job.
Good, good job.
Awesome.
Good job.
So are we still advertising to try to fill the boards then?
I think
So-
she was supposed to. keep
Yeah.
it there.
The
Yeah.
one for the Board of Health, I see that in
Yeah.
the paper. You guys have some fair boards, people, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, we're off until 11. Actually, we're off until 11:15 because the next one's closed. Hey, we're back on for the offer of settlement by Flint Creek Hydro. That mediation.
So their offer was the 14% for the of royalties for the life of the contract, which would be through July of 2050. I just don't think that pencils out. That'd be a loss to the county. I don't see how that's a.
Yeah, I'm not for it. I'm against their offer.
So you want me to summarize what my advice is on a counter offer?
Sure.
Is you have, so the real issue is the last 6 years is the cost of maintenance and so forth has gone way up with what FERC requirements are. I think under the law that some of that was unforeseeable from when it was negotiated. So I think court potentially would say there should be some cost sharing of some of those unforeseeable costs. That would take an expert to come down and officially say that if there was litigation. The thought I had is each year, if it goes, maintenance and repair costs go over X amount, such as 100,000, that amount be shared. I know that they shared equally with Flint Creek Hydro in the county. My thought also is they talked about how they think the county's doing maintenance and repairs that are not required by FERC. I disagree with that. Great West did, but if under that scenario, they could potentially be given notice of what the repairs or maintenance is being required, whatever costs would be required. They could say they object, and then the county could go to FERC and convey that objection. FERC would have obviously have the final say. The part of that, their cost, if it's over 100,000, part of that sharing, they could do complete services for their part of their payment. I was thinking like an EAP or an annual inspection. They would have to, I would think, given credit at like the amount that you pay hourly pay like Jeremiah. So be the credit with it, so it's fair. That would resolve their concern on the county doing things that they think is not, the Tucker Hydro thinks not needed or required. Everything the county has done here, I believe, has been required. Even that seismic study, we tried to get a variance and they gave us a year delay, so sometimes it'd be, they're big given time lenience. And the other thought is when would it start? They probably won't want to take on the seismic study, so maybe everything after the seismic study or January 1, 2022, some type of deadline or date when that agreement starts. And it would be a modification to the existing agreement. That I think hopefully resolves those concerns. I know they're talking about how the county is not in a deficit on the money's coming in versus what's paid out, but what are your thoughts on that? It seems like you gotta include the insurance. On
Yeah,
this building.
they're pulling the insurance costs out and saying that that isn't part of maintenance of the dam. And then they're saying something that the county register is missing 193,000. I don't know where he's getting that at, and telling us that we shouldn't have done stuff that we did, and so we should pull it out. We had to pay it.
One thing that response fails to do, I think, is take into consideration what the county had to pay out in the last 6 years, which has been, it's been a lot. Last 6 years have been higher. Hopefully it's a lot of those issues are taken care of, but it's FERC is, they're self-admittedly, they're tighter regulations here. The insurance, you have to have it on the premises, on the building down there. I mean, it all came to the county. The county couldn't pick and choose what they were gonna accept there. Those buildings are on the historic register. Monies, I'm not aware of that. I do know that the county had to, out of that fund, paid for experts in that litigation back in the early 2000s. So that was substantial amount, but where was the money's gonna come? That was from the stemming from the use of the dam.
So and then this comment, grant money the county received for the project was not included in the revenue that we gave them a list of, which the revenue that we gave them was the revenue that we received from royalties.
Yeah, that's the applicable number.
Yeah, the grant money is a wash. It goes in to fix something and it goes back out. There's no royalties in it at all. So this is really a disappointing.
Okay.
What we've all done is to better them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's come to the point where it's all.
So we need a motion to not accept their offer.
That would be my advice, and to give a counter offer that thinks
I'll make a
reasonable.
motion that we do not accept their offer. So,
I'll second it.
Any public comment? All in favor, say aye.
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 So,
So on your thing, could we make it like $80,000? On a good year, we can almost make $80,000. And so anything above $80,000 if they would.
Yeah, it's your decision. That's I mean, that's a reasonable number because that's what you're.
So what we're actually looking at is we're looking at royalties that we throw right back into that dam, so they benefit from it.
that's what I'm saying.
So they're actually, where are they coming from when they think that we're making so much money?
Yeah, I agree with you. The contract does put the maintenance on the county, which we could go back in time and do that a little different, but that was none of us. I don't know, I think the county's thought, I think when they were negotiating, was that the royalties would pay at least for the maintenance. And it's not.
But I don't think they expected the royalties just to go right back into it, and there wouldn't be any kind of revenue or any kind of fund balance that would be broke every year.
Yeah,
They thought they were gonna make money.
yeah. And so
sharing with any of the fixed costs on this, or all this go to the county?
So they have their facility, they have to take care of that. The dam itself is on the county, everything related to that, the valves, spillway, the whole dam facility of the dam. Which, you know, hindsight, the county should have just potentially got their own consultant and got a loan and put it in themselves and take. So in 2050, hopefully that's when the county takes it back over. It's just the facilities out there, maybe the turbines and everything may be wore out, but the county should hire a consultant. If they're gonna do it, hire a consultant and put in the facilities themselves and make the royalties off it. The royalties go up to 20% in 2033. So there is from 10, there's a jump here. And
I guess I don't see us giving away, go to 14 and give away the other at 20 and. I don't.
it would only be 14% for till 2033, then.
Did we vote on it? Did we vote on that? I can't.
Oh, yeah, oh, sorry.
No.
Oh, yeah, you voted on the denial.
Denial.
You haven't voted on the counter.
Do we have to do that right now?
No, you could
Table
table it.
Think
I
about
want to think about it for a week.
it. Yeah, we wanna make sure we got our ducks in a row if we're gonna throw something back out.
I don't know if Jeremiah's on, if he wants to. give his 2 cents.
Yep, I'm here. I guess one thing, Commissioners Blaine, that I was gonna offer is I know you had talked about that $100,000. I guess I agree that the offer is not in favor of the county, so I think you need to consider that. But you may want the whole attempt. I think the intent of this project initially was for the county to generate revenue from power generation from the facility. So the costs of the improvements and FERC regulations and requirements, I mean, that's going to vary from year to year, but the county should realistically not have to contribute any outside funding to the requirements of FERC or the improvements to the reservoir. So maybe rather than putting a dollar amount, it's the amount of revenue generated per year. So if you only generate 60,000, you've committed up to 60,000 for improvements, and then anything over top of that should be a cost share with the hydro company. Something to consider.
That's good because it's consistent, I think, with what the law is. If it was what they were foreseeing, then the royalties would cover maintenance, and it's not. So it should be anything above that would be shared. I think if we won in court, that's what the court would do.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I'm with you, yeah. I like that.
I agree.
And then the only other thing is maybe, and you kind of hit on it, Blaine, I think all requirements of FERC, we could share that with hydrodynamics, and if they're willing to take on those tasks and assist the county in completing them, then you don't need to, maybe they do them and there's a cost savings there. That was initially why you kind of got in trouble, or the county did, because they were taking the lead on that and not getting things submitted in a timely manner or at all. And so you were in jeopardy of losing the license, but we can definitely give them an opportunity to assist or partake in some of these FERC requirements, and maybe there's a cost share or cost savings overall.
Jeremiah, what do you think of the idea that their share of that amount over the maintenance over the royalties, that cost that they're sharing, having them be able to do like services to pay that off? Or what do you think of that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you get to that point, and I think you made a great example of like the PGA, the earthquake analysis. I mean, we know, what the cost is going to be, and if they're willing to take that on or can do it, and meet FERC requirements, I mean, maybe that's the cost share and they take it on. So I do think that that's too good to include.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Good idea. I like to table it until this part until next week.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, we're gonna move on then.
Sounds good.
Oh,
Of course.
public- you want to take public comment on that or wait till next week?
Wait till next week.
All right.
Okay, correspondence, here's a letter from basically the governor to us. We got $10,000 for Pentler Medical LLC to help them out. I guess it's COVID stuff.
Yeah, that was on the agenda and the commission agreed to it.
Yeah, they'll contact us in a couple of weeks. Here's the emails from Maria.
Did you guys have a comment on that? Did you have a comment on our correspondence?
Did I ask one?
Yeah, and our correspondence, so is that public comment?
Well, we're gonna get into that
Public comment.
public comment. Here's a email for a check we got for $6,000 from the insurance company for the water damage.
So I guess putting the building.
Yeah.
building.
Yeah,
And here's a letter from the Department of Public Health and Human Services, want $50 from us.
What is it for?
You signed an intergovernmental transfer contract with the state of Montana to participate in IGT process. That contract still in place. Anyway, we gotta pay $50. Okay, then to get it out of the way, let's do the board minutes right now.
I'll make a motion to accept the ordinance.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Aye. Okay, now we'll go to public comment. We can talk about the ambulance. I just want to start this thing off that I think I got carried away, this email thing, and we have 2 ambulances, garages, and sitting there doing nothing. And I don't see why we can't work something out with the county and you to utilize those for transfers, or one of them at least. This is my own opinion.
Let me start by saying, I absolutely appreciate the efforts of Eagle Ambulance and all that they're trying to do to serve our community. We were having a challenge and we needed to open up lines of communication, and that's where I came to you and asked for your support as the entity who oversees EMS services in our community. And essentially the response I got was, that's between them. Let them figure it out.
That wasn't at all how it was said.
Okay, then my misinterpretation. But it was what I heard was that that's between them.
Okay, so here's what happened. Is when you, Scott, you went and visited with the ambulance, and then there was misunderstandings. I mean, you're saying this and they're saying this. And so our letter, what it was stating basically was that we said that, okay, you're gonna do, said you do transports, or said, and like Blaine felt that we needed to maybe visit and talk and not send that letter, because that letter wasn't, it was just saying, but it wasn't, we didn't drop the ball and say that it's up to you guys. We didn't dump it on you. I don't
Well,
know why you
I
felt
think
that.
that was my advice, is for them to have worked that out with them, because I think that's where the there was a communication issue there. And I'm not blaming anyone there, but that was my advice, maybe it was wrong.
We just felt that, and it was just, I think you weren't,
I wasn't there.
you lost the contact or something, and we just felt that let's wait on this letter and see if we can get together and see what's going on.
Resolve it. before
Resolve it. It wasn't saying, hey, we're dropping the ball on this and you guys deal with it.
Well,
And that wasn't at all what it was.
an update with the email correspondence, we have opened up a dialogue with Eagle Ambulance and have begun clarifying some of the expectations for 911 and for interfacility transports. But I want to make clear that the hospital has zero role in providing ambulance service. Okay, that's not under our purview. Okay, so what I am asking for is for greater involvement by the commissioners in opening up dialogue and ensuring that our community members, which absolutely deserve reliable ambulance service, receive that. I'm advocating on the part of the community that this has to be a seamless strategy for providing coverage. It can't be, well, Eagle's out there, and from what I'm told, there's no contract. There's no contract with Eagle. So that means that the county retains sole responsibility for providing that service and ensuring that it's
I
there.
agree with you there.
Okay.
Where is that coming from? I mean,
The county collects the tax funds for the ambulance service. So the county oversees the provision of ambulance services.
The
Am I
way-
incorrect?
The way I see it, county is obligated for the EMS part to get the people to the hospital. Once they're in the hospital, I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, Blaine, that it's, the hospital has to do the transfers. I mean,
The hospital doesn't own an ambulance.
we're not responsible for life flight, taking somebody from the hospital to the,
No, but you're responsible for the local provision of EMS services.
yeah, to get, for the
Once we
emergencies.
Get them to you, then you turn around and tell us that we have to haul them somewhere else.
Sometimes, yes.
A lot of times what'll happen is they'll come in. Might have a long fracture. You don't know if they're in ER until they walk in. They need a comfortable ride to an orthopedic. Or they could be a heart attack. Don't even know that when they walk in. Then it becomes an emergency transfer. So it's not all cut and dried where you bring them in and then drop them off.
but I just don't think you could say it's your guys, the county's problem, you guys gotta, I mean,
I'm only asking, I know that I'm asking you to open up communication between Eagle and our volunteer team so that there's a unified strategy. Can
Well,
can they communicate together and say, I'm going on an interfacility, Eagle's going on an interfacility transport, local team, you're notified, please respond. Can there be a warm handoff in some way? Can there be a shared responsibility between the two entities to ensure that we have coverage? It feels very haphazard right now. Eagle's doing a tremendous job in trying to respond wherever they can, but they only have one crew.
part of the
So
problem there was Dr. Ryder's response, and you gotta
Becky,
own that one. I
Becky?
mean, he shouldn't have ever, Eagle's doing a great job, and to come down on him like that, I
Yeah.
think you gotta
but
take
that's
some
not the overall.
No,
that's
but you
not
gotta
the
take
Yeah,
some
but it really
responsibility.
stirred it up. and caused
It's
a whole
not the
bunch of
overall
shit.
okay, Becky,
Becky Mickey, first of all, the email was very harsh, and I, as a public taxpayer, am very happy that Eagle Ambulance is in our county, simply because prior to Eagle Ambulance being here, we had nobody. what was your protocol prior to Eagle being here? It was Phillipsburg Volunteer Ambulance, correct?
Correct.
Did they respond every single time
Of course
or
not.
ever?
You
So
can't say
now that
they
you
never
have-
respond, but of
Now
course
that
they
you
respond.
have a private entity in our county and you come down on them like you did on that email and like Dr. Ryder did, I do not want Catherine Hopman to feel like she's not wanted in Granite County, because I can tell you and I can assure you as a taxpayer, she absolutely is.
Absolutely.
Um,
And she and I and our providers have opened up a great dialogue and have already started to strategize. How can we be of assistance? But I also need the commissioners to be a unifying force of all of the services and get them coordinated and have consistent coverage. I don't at all doubt, I don't
I
at all
appreciate
disagree
that.
that she's providing.
And another point that I would like
You do
to,
that.
another point that I would like to make is that you are coming down on them as far as not taking the patients to GCMC. I can tell you right now, if I get picked up by the ambulance, there's no way in hell they're bringing me to GCMC.
And that's your choice.
But you're saying in your email that it's not my choice. You're
It
saying to
isn't
them that they
always.
have to bring them to you and then
No,
you
that's
decide.
not what was said at all. That is not what was said, and that's not the issue that we're here for. Is I'm asking for a collaborative effort to ensure that
I
services are
think we've done
consistent.
more than you guys have. I mean,
We
went out
don't
on
own
our
the
own.
ambulance
I know,
service.
but you
We don't
want
have
us-
any control over it. We are not the overseeing.
Now, if you
entity.
listen to my first statement, why can't we work together with the hospital to utilize that Phillipsburg ambulance
What is your expectation for the hospital to do?
to provide some people and a little bit of leadership?
We have no
Leadership.
license
Huh?
to provide ambulance service. We don't have the personnel to provide ambulance service.
Seems to me
We are
like you
not
guys
the
got all these
provider of the
excuses, but
service.
nothing-
Yeah,
It's a
it's
separate
just nothing but
entity.
excuses.
It's a separate entity.
No, it isn't.
We're not licensed to provide ambulance services.
No, we're providing the service. You just coordinate it for your own benefit, for the
That's
transfers.
the responsibility of the county, not
See,
the
No,
it's
it
hospital.
always
is
gets
not.
pushed off. It just-
It is your responsibility.
So what are you suggesting, Chuck? Are you suggesting that if, in case we needed to make a transfer after the Eagle, brings them up, or we need to make an interfacility transfer, that we have a crew we could put in the ambulance down there and then do an interfacility transfer and then bring it back?
You'd have some people that you could call to man that ambulance.
Who's gonna insure them?
I mean, would we,
We don't have a license to do that.
would be something we could work out if that's.
Well, they still be like with the county ones. I mean,
If
Okay,
you worked out with the county.
yeah.
So we have a Phillipsburg volunteer ambulance and we have a Drummond volunteer ambulance. So they're the ones that, and we have tried working with them and telling them, but we don't have any EMTs. So there we sit with the Phillipsburg ambulance and with the Drummond ambulance, and then Eagle comes in and starts taking these runs. And so you're missing transports, but Phillipsburg isn't picking up transports. They're supposed to be picking up transports and they won't, right? Isn't that what you're saying? So you want us to tell them, pick up the transports when we're having a problem even
No,
getting
I'm not
EMTs.
asking you to strong arm them and tell them what to do. I'm asking for, how do you develop a consistent coverage system?
That's
That's
what we're
what
trying
we've
to
been
do.
trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do.
So Eddie Amber got an idea on there as far as potential Eagle taking on some of those volunteers, and putting them on their roster.
Well, I
So
think,
as a-
I
and then
think
could
they,
potentially use an ambulance.
didn't they try? I mean, they're trying to hire and no
They said
one's
they'd
responding.
hire any volunteers. Catherine Sackler said that. I don't like speaking for her and I don't think it's right. I don't know, did she know about this
Is she on
meeting?
the call? Yes, I invited. her.
Like, yeah, can't make any decisions there.
No.
It should be on the agenda, I think.
Well, I think we need to have her on agenda and she needs to be here to support herself.
Well, and we
Well-
need the volunteer ambulances to step up and say, yeah, we're going to. And we've tried. Have we not tried?
Right.
Oh, we've been
were-
trying. We tried to get legislation through the legislature and there was no help from you.
What do you want us to do?
You could have written some letters, been over there and testified.
Support.
Did you go, Scott?
Huh?
Did you go?
I
wrote, I
I
signed
did.
a letter.
I did.
Okay.
I
But
did.
you're trying to push off, I get the sense that you're trying to push the responsibility off on the hospital, and we're not licensed to provide that service. And your expectation is, well,
You
what are you
could
gonna do?
coordinate. We, with our people, you could coordinate, get them to volunteer for the county like
Why
the
would
rest.
you even think that I would be successful in coordinating your team to do something? It's
Because
not
you're the
my
hospital.
team. It's not our team, you know. You want me to tell them what to do? I don't understand the
No,
expectation.
not what to do,
Well, what
to
did
help.
you do when you couldn't get Phillipsburg?
I kept calling. Our patients, that's not fair to the patient. That isn't, I am
And
here
that's
to
why
advocate
that
on
was
behalf
the
of our patient.
big problem. That was the big problem when Eagle came in and said, hey, we
And
want to
we're
be
so
here.
grateful for what they're doing. We are so grateful for what they're doing. We're
Yeah.
not at
Well, we
all.
about lost them, I'll tell you that much. After talking to her, we about lost it due to Dr. Ryder's comments and you guys, we just about lost that. Then what do? We're back to square one. Then what?
Becky,
I've also talked to a couple of the Drummond ambulance service, and they said they were never paged out on that. So that might be miscommunication maybe with
On
the
the
sheriff's
dispatcher.
office.
Right, what I'm trying to do is get a collaborative group together to get this figured out. Include dispatch,
And we've been there.
include Eagle, include.
I mean,
the
you can't
volunteer
say
people.
we
Let's
haven't
get
been
them
there.
all in the same room.
There's a group called the LEPC, Local Emergency
Yes.
Planning Committee. And they meet, I think, once a quarter, maybe once a month. But most of them, if not all of them, are in that same room at the same time. And that may be a good idea for you to sit and chat with them to start that conversation with that group of people.
I'm here to find a solution. Okay, I'm not here to beat up Eagle Ambulance or our local crew or any of that. I wanna
then work
find a
with us,
solution.
then work with us. Help us get volunteers to man that, so you're guaranteed that somebody will be, an EMS will be available and a driver will be available.
We are helping to do that.
Huh?
We are helping to do that. Our provider has already reached out to different entities that he knows in order to provide her with contacts. But you're asking us to solve the problem when we can't do it by ourselves. We need everyone to work together.
Or we would help.
I don't think he asked you to solve the problem. I think he suggested that maybe if we work together, and that's what you're saying right now is work together. So
Yes.
when you call and there's nobody to make the run, what can we do? I mean, what are we supposed to do?
But if there's if there's a clear schedule, you know, that says these people are covering this time, these people are covering the other time.
Well, that you have to
Or do
visit.
you need to move to make your
It's a
ambulance service paid?
volunteer
Do
ambulance.
we need to move to make it a paid system?
Do you have, the revenue isn't there? This isn't a countywide, each district is different, it's not countywide, so the county, it's not
Do we wanna-
countywide, it's
do we wanna
Phillipsburg and
consider
Drummond, they're
mill
two
levy
different
funds?
districts.
Do we want to consider a mill levy election in order to help fund a paid ambulance service throughout the county? So that we have a backup. I mean, Eagle can, bless their heart, they can only do so much. You know, there's gonna be gaps in coverage. Is that something to consider? I'm looking for strategies. We just, it's too important to just throw up our hands and say, oh, you know, we tried, we can't find anything. We've got to, this is too important. The community needs reliable service.
And we have an ambulance sitting down there doing nothing.
Right,
It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't. So what we beat our heads against the wall long enough trying the same thing and it hasn't worked. So let's think outside the box. Let's, you know, we've got to.
That's what I'm trying to do.
We've got to think of something else. So let's get all the parties together. So
One
that
part
we
of
can
it should
help.
be Lifeline is like $65 a year for that. That's pretty cheap for, I think that
Get 'em
push
on-
for,
Push for
people,
membership.
yeah, push for membership on that. 300 for 5 years for your family.
And, you know, on the,
Yeah, but you can't use that for like a transfer, could you? I mean, just to transfer them if it's not an emergency.
no, but the thing about it is that if you do call them and you find out that it's not a lifelike worthy trip, you don't pay anything until you put them on health. So, I mean, we've turned it back at Ski Hill before, and there's been no financial comeback on anybody over that, so. There is that option, like they get assessed, they find out, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought it was, go ahead and get home, and they're fine. with that. So if that comes up, that's been our experience.
The biggest concern should be the emergencies, but yeah, you don't want someone sitting there 5 hours. Yeah,
So Jim, once upon a time, was there a schedule for the Peaburg ambulance? Was there ever a schedule?
Not that I was ever on.
So it's just being there volunteer, it's if you're available.
That was a different era, different
Yeah.
time.
And that's the thing, a different era.
You know, there's probably 15
And,
of
and
us.
saying getting a mill levy going, that's easier said than done. You know that yourself with the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not, it's there, people are gonna look at, no.
But
You know,
not,
it's just-
not any one of our silos is gonna solve it. We really have to get, like she said, if that's where everyone meets, all the interested parties in that area, then let's get on that agenda, let's get together and really have a strong working group that's gonna come up with some solutions. Because the siloed effect has really not worked.
Well, let's put it on the agenda for next week or 2 weeks or whatever.
To
Hmm.
get the ambulances here or what?
No, I don't think they have to come. I mean, they're private. I mean,
No,
If
I
they
mean,
want
our
it.
volunteer.
oh, that's
ambulances.
volunteer.
I just remember when I was in the clerk and recorder's office and I said, why don't you guys transport? And they had a reason for not transporting. They were saying they were just emergency.
It varies with who you're talking to.
Right, and the messaging is inconsistent.
The crew is so small right now. I mean, it's not really functional.
Well, I don't think there's even any runs. Is there anything going?
You know, the lot, like we deal probably between 30 and 40 on calls a month over there. Some of them are, you know, they need a comfortable ride to town and you can't put them in the back of the car.
I can tell you that, from the work comp aspect of it, neither one of the entities had any runs last quarter. So they're just not going.
But I see that Phillipsburg being more just a limited crew.
Any comment on Zoom? So, let's just put it on the agenda for a week or two and
See what we can figure out.
How about next week?
no, we might have a long day next week. Don't we have,
There's mediation.
well, if we can fit it in next week.
Let's put it on for 2 weeks. That gives us a little time when we get a hold of Eagle too, so I think they should be here and here to stop.
So when you have to transport someone, do you know hours ahead of time or do you find out right?
As we're gathering information, stabilizing and treating them. If they have an injury that requires surgery or another kind of intervention, like a heart attack needs a cardiac cath.
Should they
can't
know
wait.
that before taking them, if you can
No, you
take
can't,
them?
without diagnostic.
I'm just
testing.
asking,
No,
don't get,
No, without diagnostic testing,
I'm
we
just
don't have
asking,
that
I'm not a
information.
medical person, I just don't know, you know, when they go pick them up, maybe then that's when they should just be headed the other way. You know, I
So
don't know
you
if
were
that
saying that the problem was that Eagle Ambulance only did 911 calls.
That
and
was
wouldn't transport.
that was a misunderstanding between.
That was a
their team.
misunderstanding.
Yes, when we had further conversations through email, Catherine clarified that with her team. And I think there was a miscommunication amongst several people.
Well, and seeing that was with our statement last week on the letter, there was a misunderstanding here, and so we need to get to the bottom of
But
it.
she has clear issues with staffing, just like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So she can't staff both ambulances. So I I want to loop in our volunteer people to get consistent coverage. And I can't do that without you, because you oversee the volunteer service.
Well, we could advertise in the paper to get more people trained up and see if they'll kind of just people from the Phillipsburg area, not way
I
out.
mean, money was
Timbuktu.
donated for training.
The
the
better option would be
ambulances.
working more with Eagle versus the volunteer side of it.
Yeah, I don't think so, because they don't have the staffing and, you know, they're a private company, they gotta do what they gotta do. I mean,
But we've worked here years and years on getting volunteers and it hasn't. Offering the ambulance to Eagle or some type of deal with them if that was an issue. So I don't know if it is the actual.
No, they have.
They got 2 ambulances
Yeah.
down.
But that's worth conversation in case they need additional equipment. Those things are worth conversation. But it's just imperative that we get the right people together to have the conversation.
we'll make a plea to the city and the county and try to get more people. I think that's the only solution, to tell you the truth. Temporary solution.
So what day in 2 weeks? Tuesday?
2 weeks.
Hmm.
The 2nd. November.
Oh, good
So
man.
today, 2nd. Second,
Sounds good.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
We're adjourned, I think.